second frame. Whoa. I almost broke my Sega Genesis. So let's talk cameras, shall we, people? Right now, I'm shooting this on the Sony a6400 with, this is going to be a mouthful, folks, a Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. Basically, it's supposed to be a dream setup. I mean, a Sony camera paired with a Sigma lens is incredible. Actually, to be completely fair, any kind of camera paired with any kind of Sigma lens is supposed to be like, oh, godlike. But for some reason, I haven't been satisfied with the images and or video quality that I'm getting out of this thing. I'm not exactly a novice or a noob when it comes to camera settings. I know how to do shutter speeds and ISOs and frame rates and all that stuff. I need to do a lot of post work in order to even make my skin tones look natural on a Sony, and I guarantee you this video is going to make me look insane because I'm looking at myself right now on a monitor and I can tell that I look like I'm a psychopath. That could just be how I naturally look, or it could be the color science. 1, 2, 3. 3. I've said 3 a bunch of times at this point. I've owned 3 different Sony cameras throughout me getting into photography and videography and filmmaking, whatever you want to call it, YouTube. And I genuinely haven't been impressed. And I thought the Sony a6400 would bring me to the Sony promised land and gold would rain from the heavens and I would be the next big YouTube sensation. Those dreams came crashing down for the very simple fact that I don't even want to really take this camera out and shoot with it. It's been sitting in a camera bag for the last couple of weeks, and I mean, I've had nothing better to do than literally make videos and pump out content. I haven't, because I genuinely don't enjoy this camera. I don't enjoy using it. It's not that fun for me. And this is all my personal opinion. I'm not saying if you prefer Sony, you're a bad person, or that Sonys are terrible cameras, or that you should never own a Sony. By all means, go out, buy all the Sonys. Buy every single Sony you can get your hands on and then prove me wrong and slap me in the face and call me whatever you want to call me. Don't hit me though, I'm fragile. I never regretted parting ways with my last 2 Sony cameras, and I'm not gonna necessarily cry my big pillow when I part with this camera as well. Prior to diving into the Sony sphere of cameras that I did highly regret getting rid of, and that was a Canon T6i. And I know what everybody's gonna say, oh God, Kevin's just being one of those Canon people, you know, one of those Canon elitist people, but I'm really not. It's just what I prefer, and I miss it. I miss grabbing my big bulky T6i DSLR camera and going out and shooting God knows what when I want to film it, when I want to shoot a good photo of it. It delivered in camera. I almost had to do next to no post work whatsoever to have a great video or great photo come off of that camera. But for Sonys, for some reason, me and Sonys, just maybe my hands don't want to work properly. I don't know. But I haven't gotten anything that great out of any of the Sonys I've owned. That leads me to my big earth-shattering maneuver that I'm gonna pull. I'm actually going to sell this very camera and this very lens as a combo for a very reasonable price. If you go online, a Sony a64, even a used body, is going for $600, and that's used. The Sigma 16mm lens, even used, is going for $300. So you do the math. 600 plus 300. It's more than 800. It's around $900 to $1,000 with shipping and handling and tax. Now, I'm only going to be charging a wonderful number of 800, and people are gonna go, well, Kev, that's not necessarily a smart move. Shh, don't tell anybody, I'm not that small. I just want to get rid of this camera and this lens. I want to give it to somebody who genuinely is going to get good usage out of it. And that's ultimately the goal. I mean, I don't want to hold on to a piece of gear that I don't need or don't like. If there's a piece of gear out there that I know I'm going to love, because I've shot with it before, or at least shot with something relatively close to it. Because now Canon is up to the T8i, and also from the 80D, they've moved up to the 90D, which is the big brother to the 80D, obviously, which we all know. That is like the YouTube camera of choice was the 80D for a very long time. But a lot of people are gonna say, well, Kev, why don't you go with like one of the Canon mirrorless cameras? Why don't you go with the RP or the R or whatever combination of R's there is with Canon at this point? I have a large assortment of Canon glass that I got for my T6i that I love and that I'm so happy I never got rid of. Now I actually have the option of just buying a Canon camera body, obviously not the mirrorless system because those lenses need an adapter in order to use them on the Canon mirrorless system. And I'm not going to dish out any more money than I got to. I just need a more modernized version of the T6i, ultimately being the T8i. But the nerd in me really has always wanted an 80D. Obviously, that would be silly to go down to at this point because the 80D is only a 1080 camera. And let's face facts, although not a huge proprietor of 4K by any means, shape, or form, you gotta kind of keep up with the times. It's where everything is heading is 4K, 4K this, 4K that. Now they're up to 6Ks and 8Ks and 12Ks and 14Ks and whatever. That's ridiculous. Nobody's computer can handle that amount of data. At the end of the day, I really am looking for the 90D, but I'm not gonna be heartbroken if I end up with a T8i. Both are 4K. Granted, you get crop in images at 4K with Canon, but even that still is gonna make me happy. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you gotta do what's best for yourself. And what's best for myself is going back to Canon. Yeah. So Sony, I'm putting in my 2 weeks, and I'm out of here.